Trump made a point to demand that there was increased security there on January 6th in 2020. They rejected him. They were out there screaming about him, saying that he was going to take over the Capitol. Remember that? We're not going to let Trump stand up National Guard here so he can seize power and all that. So then they rejected Trump's demand for the National Guard. Then the January 6th riot happened because Nancy Pelosi is a failure and didn't answer Stephen Sund's phone calls multiple times. And now they're going to secure the Capitol. Isn't that interesting? Huh. Yeah, so they're going to increase security to prevent a Capitol attack repeat. Maybe they should have done it the first time. If they would have had actual security there, wouldn't have happened. You know what else would have prevented it from happening? If the feds didn't do it. If guys like Ray Epps had actually been properly held accountable. Of course, he took a misdemeanor plea deal virtually via Zoom. Ridiculous. Got no jail time, even though he was there into the Capitol, the first person in that group at that overcharging of the gate. And if we didn't have the 8 confirmed federal agents that they admitted existed in the Proud Boys trial, remember, there were only 5 Proud Boys, there were 8 feds, or the 50 Homeland Security officials that the defense attorneys identified in that case, if those people weren't out there shooting peaceful protesters in the face with anti-riot guns, blowing their cheek holes open into smithereens, maybe none of this would have happened. So now they're going to increase security. And it's almost like if you see a label on a product, like a product liability label, it's don't put this in your rectum. You're like, what? It's a blow dryer. How? They put the warning on there because somebody tried that thing. It's okay. We got to put a warning on there. So it's, and they're almost admitting in that the product is used for that. Like the product does have a fault. You know what I'm saying? So it's that is here. They're saying, yeah, we screwed up, right? If security was sufficient and reliable, they wouldn't have to make these changes. So there wasn't some overwhelming force there. Everybody knew who was coming. Government was on notice about who was going to be there. They made reservations. And Trump wanted to have security there. So they declined it. And then they put up the warning label. Now, suddenly, right? Now they are recognizing that they screwed up. So here you can see this is what the Washington Post has brought up for us. Feds increase security for the January 6th event to stop another Capitol attack, which they allowed to happen or instigated themselves. The federal government now, wow, shocking. I wonder, did they consult with Mayor Muriel Bowser about this? Did she reject this request? The federal government will dramatically increase security protections for the joint session of Congress. So maybe when they do not seat Trump, they can seize the lever of power. An escalation of government-wide efforts to prevent a repeat of January 6th. So they're gearing up for this again. The MAGA extremists are going to come out and steal the country again. Reality, they're going to do it. The Department of Homeland Security has designated the next electoral count scheduled for January 6, 2025. They're calling it a national special security event, giving the once routine post-election gathering the same level of security accorded to presidential inaugurations and political conventions. The Secret Service, which will take over security for the count, confirmed. So the Secret Service is capable of protecting all of them? They couldn't even protect Trump. They're going to protect the entire Capitol building. Capitol Hill Police couldn't do it. Metro Police couldn't do it. House Sergeant at Arms, Senate Sergeant at Arms, they couldn't figure it out. Now the Secret Service, who can't even put agents on roofs, is going to protect the Capitol. Okay. And the same Secret Service that deleted all the audio footage from the J13th event, the same Secret Service that deleted all of the text messages from the J6 event. Yeah, they're going to be in charge. Great. National special security events are events of the highest national significance, they said. The designation, which followed a request from Muriel Bowser. Wow. So she did it this time. She learned her lesson. That's great. Muriel Bowser, welcome. Yeah, good job. Are you going to issue an apology? Are you going to respond to Donald Trump and say, hey, sorry, we didn't follow your advice the last time? Are any of them going to come out with a mea culpa? No, they're just going to say, see, he's responsible for January 6th. No, you are. You're fixing the problem that you caused, and you're admitting it right now. So there's a recommendation from the fake January 6th committee, which was illegally constituted under their own House bill, Resolution 503. is intended to unlock funds and law enforcement resources. Maybe they can steal those from the DOJ slush fund like Jack Smith did, the illegal prosecutor. From across the federal government to protect members of Congress this time while they certify the election results or steal them. The very job lawmakers were doing when a mob of Trump supporters stormed the Capitol. Yeah. Also federal agents and undercover agents. But Congress, which is in the midst of a fierce battle over government funding, must make sure the Secret Service has enough money. Yeah. So they'll fund them to protect the Capitol and give them more money, even though they just failed to almost protect Trump and somebody got killed at a rally, Corey Compatore. We got DHS decision is only the latest step in an effort by people to prevent a repeat of the chaos, which they caused the last time by not securing the building and shooting people in the face. Across Washington and the country, lawmakers, aides, and other activists want a peaceful transition of power. Maybe they shouldn't steal elections then. Their fears, which they have had laid out in tabletop exercises. All right. So when you hear about the cabal of people who were sitting behind closed doors plotting to steal the election in the country, this is what it sounds like. And we already read that article from Time Magazine some time ago. It's like the OJ book. It's If I Did It. We're like, bro, what? What are you talking about? And here they're saying the same thing, that it's Trump. It's actually them. They're the ones who did it, right? If we did it, they did it. Their fears they've laid out on tabletop exercises like that Time Magazine article. They said how we did it, right? The cabal of people, they were mocking the right about that. So they're admitting it again. Some worry that members of the House of Representatives could struggle for weeks to elect a speaker, making the certification of the election results impossible. Others are concerned that a handful of lawmakers could delay the seating of the members-elect, leaving the people elected by voters to represent their districts hamstrung, right? So the whole thing may be shut down. The people gaming out these potential scenarios acknowledge they can't possibly anticipate every possible threat to the peaceful transfer of power. Okay. The fact that Trump declined during his debate to express a single regret of his actions, he did. He expressed a regret. He expressed a regret that Nancy Pelosi failed to secure the Capitol about his actions, right? They're so pathetic. It's not his Capitol building. It's Congress. It's their Capitol building. And he also demanded 10,000 National Guard. So the idea that he waited 3 hours or 4 hours or 5 hours, he could have waited 50 hours. It's not his responsibility. He posted a video about it. He already made his efforts. It's a separate but co-equal branch of government. It's not his responsibility. But the people, and he tried to secure the building, and they said, you're a dictator trying to take over our branch of government. They said it. But the people gaming out the post-election landscape are determined to avoid the pitfalls they experienced the last time around. Here's what Jamie Raskin said. So we are now trying to prepare for every conceivable contingency that we can think of. He's plotting to steal the election. That's what that means. A team under Morell, the ranking Democrat, is handling the research and the analysis behind the, quote, list of horribles, as one person said. Off the Hill, a small working group within the Protect Democracy Group, which is a nonprofit, nonpartisan, identifying and fighting threats to American democracy. They should be fighting the Democrats who are wrecking our free speech, our due process of law, and our equal balance of justice, our scales of justice, has been facilitating tabletop exercises to game out what might happen, right? They sit around and they ideate, right? You might do this in your companies with a whiteboard. Okay, quarter one, we're doing this. Quarter two, we're doing this. Quarter three. But they're doing the same thing. A broader group of people with congressional, political, and legal expertise initially gathered for one big meeting that dispersed into breakout sessions, where they ran through all the twists and turns of different scenarios, which means Trump wins, according to one participant, who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss confidential planning. Following that meeting, a smaller group of congressional and parliamentary experts have met on a monthly basis on a Zoom meeting to drill into the details of various post-election scenarios. This is the same thing we saw in 2020. The cabal of people that Time told us about. The meetings and group sessions are confidential, but Ian Bassin is the co-founder and the executive director of, quote, Protect Democracy. They acknowledged the work of the group in a statement to the Post. They said, the last time Congress met to count presidential electoral votes, Trump incited an insurrection on the Capitol, after which 147 members voted to thwart the will of the voters. The law has been updated, and so they're working, right? So if they have, like, they're trying to get a contingent election or something to happen where they can invoke the 14th Amendment to say they're not going to seat Trump. At the Capitol Police D Street headquarters, Thomas Manger, who took over the force 6 months after the riot, is already thinking through security. Members of Congress are not fully engaged on the planning yet. Capitol Police now has 2,200 officers, 250 more than years ago. Okay. And so they could also add unscalable fencing around. They're making intelligence a priority. And in addition to the Capitol grounds, they're also protecting Congress people. So they're bracing for it again, right? They're plotting all over the place. And Republicans, at least the so-called Republicans like Romney and McConnell, they're not really worried about this at all. There's like, the Democrats can do whatever the hell they want.